I don't know what it is, but 2014 it seems was a great year for indie-type games. Now, I know we talked about Shovel Knight already, and that was a great game, but in terms of the other three I played this year that are from more independent developers, that was the third best. Second best would go to Azure Striker Gunvolt, which I did a complete blind run of. You can obviously see there's going to be a link somewhere in here. And oh my goodness, this game. Azure Striker Gunvolt is a game that's very similar to Shovel Knight in some respects. It's kind of a Mega Man-like game. It's more based off the Mega Man Zero and ZX type games in terms of gameplay, but it just comes up with some of the most cool mechanics. It isn't just about shooting things. You have that lightning mechanic, you have those different combo things. There's a lot of cool different little details that are so intricately put into the main core gameplay that just makes it really fun to play all the different stages over again to get better scores, to actually try to, like, do some of the challenges that are, like, don't get hit, for instance, in some of these stages, which is freaking impossible for me, because I'm not that good, but that's just, like, really cool that they have all these, like, different ways, and there's so many different ways you can play the game using the different things. You can customize different equipment for yourself. There's a lot of great things going on in it. I think, for me, I like it better than Shovel Knight, partially because it doesn't limit itself to the 8-bit thing. And I think that's just so much, there's so much you can do when you stop limiting yourself to a certain type of style. When you just kind of go, yeah, we'll make a sprite-based game, but we can do whatever the heck we want with it. And the sprite work in Gunvolt is so good. They're so detailed, there's so many good things going on with it. I'm not sure, like, what system would have been able to accomplish this. I want to say maybe, like, a PS1 game, maybe even a PS2 game would be able to, like, that's, like, on par of, like, how graphically good this game looks. And that's just kind of, like, that's just a small little, like, thing. That's visually how it is. All the stages are very well designed. There's lots of great things you can do on all these stages. Like Mega Man, you can pick them in any order you want, with an exception that happens you have a mid-stage that forces you to do that stage right away. But there's just a lot of cool things. Like, the backgrounds are so freaking detailed. The music is also really good. It's probably on par, maybe not as good as Shovel Knight's music, sadly to say, just because Jake Coffins is a freaking great composer. But the tracks in Gunvolt that are good are phenomenally so. Like, I searched long to find the soundtrack to Gunvolt, because it's such a good soundtrack. And there's a lot of good stuff going on as well. I know that there's some people that might be a bit upset about the version that we got in the US for Azure Striker, because in the Japanese version I noticed there's a lot of, like, cutscenes that happen during the main gameplay where the characters, like, actually talk, and there's, like, vocals during that, and they remove those completely from the US version. And I understand, like, yeah, but at the same time it's kind of like, yeah, I'm happy we got it in the first place, because the company that made this game, they're named Inti Creates. And I say this in the blind run, but I'll say it again right now. Inti Creates is their former Capcom staff. They worked for Capcom. I think, like, most of their staff, they were founded in the mid-90s after they had finished working on, like, the Mega Man X games. So the SNES trilogy of X games are pretty much from these people that are in Inti Creates now. They've obviously, I'm sure, hired on more staff by this point, since it's been over almost 2 decades since then. And if you've played either the Mega Man Zero or ZX series, that were the platform Mega Man games, while the main series kind of focused more to that battle RPG style that Battle Network started up, they were basically contracted by Capcom to make those games, to make these new platform Mega Man games. And they're also the team that was responsible for making Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10. And if you've played any of those games, you just know how good they are at making platformers. And it's so refreshing to see them do something like that again, but with a new character, with a unique ability. Everything is just so fun. The bosses are a lot of fun. They can be very challenging, but they're fun. And that's what makes it, like, just a very enjoyable game to me. It might not be the longest of games, but considering it's $15 on the Nintendo 3DS eShop, it's not that big of a deal, I feel. Because that's kind of what I was expecting. And when you think about it, the old classic Mega Man games weren't that long either. And I think about, like, the Mega Man Zero and ZX games as well. They are a bit long, but they kind of artificially lengthen that by putting in either more bosses or kind of doing some other stuff. So, in the sense that Gunvolt is more true to kind of like the original Mega Man games, like be able to pick things whenever and that kind of stuff. In that case, yeah, I can see, like, why it's kind of that short, but at the same time, there's, like, a lot of good stuff going on to it. It has multiple endings, and you're forced to get the bad ending first, as I tragically found out. And when you get to the good ending, like, that final boss is ridiculously crazy, but it's such a final boss, and it's such a good feeling to, like, beat that type of final boss. It's not like just like, oh, it's a final boss. It's like, I won't spoil much, but if you want to be spoiled, go ahead, check out the run I did of it. You can see kind of like what my reaction was to it. But it felt more like a test of your actual skills, that final boss, and just kind of like testing how much you knew about your skills, how much you knew about things, how much you knew about customizing your gear, the different types of blasters you get through over the course of the game. And then also, like, this is kind of more a minor thing, but it also has a very deep story. And, like, that sounds odd, because it's a platformer game, there's not much time for dialogue and that kind of stuff. But Inti Creates, I feel, is really good at making these stories. They make these interesting characters that they can kind of establish through very little dialogue, and make you care enough about them throughout the course of the game that when something bad could happen, that you feel very concerned. I really like that, because in the end, that makes the game's ending, like, very, very hard-hitting to the player, and I like that a lot, because it kind of shows, like, there's a lot of connection with story. It's not just the silly game. They take it very seriously. And I like that, because that kind of harkens back to how the Zero series and the ZX series went, because they're very serious in tone as well. And it just makes me really excited that they got this opportunity to make this original title. I know that they're busy with a lot of other projects right now, but it's like, now that I've seen this, I want more of this universe. There's such a great, expansive nature to what they've created with this new world, essentially. There's a lot of stuff I want to know. There's, like, a lot of different mysteries I want to have uncovered. Like, there's stuff, they've just scratched the surface of this world they've made. And I'm so excited to hopefully see them might do a sequel. I'm not sure how it would work, to be fair, based on how the game ends, and I won't spoil that, but I will say that there is kind of the lingering bit that makes it unsure of how the game could have a sequel based on how it ends. But I want to see more of this world. They've created such an interesting world. I want to see more of this gameplay. The gameplay is so much fun. Being able to just target things, zap them, do all this crazy stuff, tag multiple things, do all these different puzzles. There's a lot of cool mechanics that I just want to see come back. I'm gushing about this game because it was so good, and the fact that I was able to play it blind and kind of like get like more raw reaction to it, it just, like, when I go back and look at some of those videos, because I've watched a few of them, I just go, yeah, this, like, they did so many good things. And you know what the funny part is? That's not even the best indie game that came out this year. There's one even better than Gunvolt, and that will be on the next one. As for what they made, I'm happy for them. I'm so excited. Inti Creates, I'm glad to hear you're back in the game. I want to see another sequel to Gunvolt, but work on the stuff you have right now.